Académie Chap, Éducation Plus, du cours de la 6e en terminale, en podcast.
Theme 2, Development. Text, More and More Misery. The dilemmas of capitalism, including its potential overproductivity and the difficulties of providing markets for it, are not problems at all for the developing nations. In contrast to the United States and other nations, the developing nations face the fundamental problem of achieving enough income and productivity to maintain a standard of living capable of sustaining life. For the developing world, one of the major and unexpected results of the scientific revolution has been a significant reduction in death rates, especially infant mortality. But birth rates have remained at their usual levels, with the result that starvation and social dislocation have proved almost unsurmountable problems for the governments of developing countries. Taking the world as a whole, there is probably more misery, more starvation, and a lower standard of living in the 20th century than in any other historical age. It is only in the light of this situation that the United States, with its high consumption, its high standard of living, and its senseless glut of productivity, becomes an embarrassment to itself and a source of envy, resentment and admiration to all developing countries. The New American Society, Today's English, page 21. Part 1. Comprehension questions. Read attentively the text above and answer the following questions. 1. What are the dilemmas of capitalism? 2. What are the problems faced by developing countries? 3. Why has starvation increased in developing countries? 4. Why the United States become an embarrassment to itself? 5. Why do developing countries feel envy, resentment and admiration when considering the United States? Part 4. Translation. A. Turn into French the first paragraph of the text from The Dilemmas of Capitalism. 2. Especially infant mortality. Part 4. Translation. A. Turn into French the first paragraph of the text from The Dilemmas of Capitalism. 2. Especially infant mortality. Part 5. Essay. Do you think there is more misery in your country than ever before? Why or why not? Part 6. Warm up. What are the two great ideologies that rule the world economic system? Students give answer to this question: capitalism, socialism, and communism. The teacher defines these ideologies and gives their principle. Capitalism, to each their own. Markets should be free of government intervention, and the principles of supply and demand will produce the best economic outcome for society as a whole. Government should not be involved, as the market will provide the most efficient responses needed. Socialism. Individuals should have access to what they need but are also rewarded based on their contribution to society. Large-scale industry and public services should be communally or government-owned and managed to ensure the benefits flow to society as a whole. Part 7. Vocabulary. Dilemmas. Situation in which one has to make a difficult choice between two courses of actions, both perhaps equally undesirable. Overproductivity, productivity. The rate of producing goods, crops. Income, money that someone receives regularly, as payment of one's work from investment. Developing nation, poor country that is trying to build up its industry and improve the living conditions of its population. Death rate, number of death composed to the size of the population. Infant mortality, rate at which babies dies. Starvation, suffering or death from lack of food. Consumption, the act of consuming or an amount consumed. Senseless, unconscious, foolish. Glut, a longer supply than is necessary. Embarrassment, the states of feeling anxious, uncomfortable. Resentment, feeling that one has been badly treated. Part 8. Comprehension questions. Answers. 1. The dilemmas of capitalism are its potential overproductivity and the difficulties of providing markers for it. 2. The problems that faced by developing countries are the fundamental problem of achieving enough income and productivity to maintain a standard of living, capacity of sustaining life. 3. The starvation increased in developing countries because the birth rates have remained at their usual levels. 4. The United States become an embarrassment to itself because of more misery, more starvation of living in the 70th century compared to its high consumption, its high standard of living, and its senseless glut of productivity. 5. Developing countries felt envy, resentment and admiration when considering United States with its high consumption, the high standard of living and the senseless glut of productivity of United States compared to misery, starvation, and lower standard of living of those countries. Part 9. Translation. Translate into French from taking to down to countries. Part 9. Translation. Translate into French from taking to down to countries.
Prenant le monde comme un tout, il y a plus de misère, de faim et de niveau de vie bas au XXe siècle qu'à une autre époque historique. C'est seulement à la lumière de cette situation que les États-Unis avec leur consommation de masse, leur fou surplus de productivité deviennent un embarras et une source d'envie, de ressentiment et d'admiration pour tous les pays.
10. Essay.answer. Do you think these are more misery in your country than ever before? Why or why not? In developing countries in general and especially in Africa, there seems to exist more misery. Death rates, especially infant death rates, are higher and starvation affected many people. But, is there more misery in my country than ever before? In fact, Chad was a very poor country some years ago. Many people, especially children, were dying of evitable diseases such as diarrhea, malaria and other infectious diseases. Thus, the death rate was very high. Furthermore, people were living with less than $1 a day. Transportation was very difficult because the roads were not paved. You could spend days to go from the capital N'Djamena to other cities. However, since exploitation of oil in 2004, things started to change for better. Many new buildings were built in N'Djamena and the main cities, including schools and hospitals. Then businesses flourished and people's standard of living increased. More and more Chadians built good houses and bought cars more than ever before. It's true that there was a lot of misery in Chad years ago. However, today, there are many improvements and many people have benefited from the exploitation of oil. Nonetheless, things are going bad again since the economic crisis started in 2016. Finally, I think that there is misery in my country now because of the economic crisis. But, it is not more than ever before.
Sixième en terminale, podcast, académie, chat, éducation, plus des cours de la sixième en terminale, podcast.